I'm George Koutouris, Support and Development Engineer at DNAS, and I'm going to give you a tutorial on how to build an auditorium in Google SketchUp. Whenever you start Google SketchUp, a welcome window is displayed where you can choose your working template. That is, if you want, for example, to work with the imperial system, then you have to choose the feet in inches template. But if you want to work with a metric system, then you have to choose the meters template. It's important to keep in mind that you should decide the template in the very beginning of the project, of a new project, because you cannot modify afterwards. In this tutorial we use the meters template, so if we just press this button we can start Google SketchUp. But before that I just want to say that if you're not able to see the welcome window, it's because you have deactivated the always on startup option. But even with this deactivated, you can still launch the window inside Google SketchUp under the help menu, and then you can just reactivate that one and choose your template. I would like also now to make some initial settings in the modeling area, some convenient ones. So I would like to activate the large tool set. You can see a list of tools placed at the left of the screen. Some of them are exactly the same as the ones included in the main menu. But in any case, this set gives better functionality in accessing the tools. And then I would also like to activate the measurements bar, which is very useful in giving you the dimensions of objects you select. And finally, we also like to activate the layers window that will help us when working with layers afterwards. Two of the most important and widely used tools in Google SketchUp are the Orbit tool that helps us rotating the geometry, and the Hand tool that helps us moving the geometry. We can access the Orbit tool also by typing O at the keyboard, and we can access the Hand tool by typing H. A more elegant way for accessing these two tools is by holding down the scroll wheel of the mouse for the Orbit tool, and then when we have the scroll wheel held down, we can press the Shift key simultaneously in order to access the Hand tool. Pressing the spacebar brings us to the Select tool, and of course zooming in and zooming out can be done by scrolling the scroll wheel of the mouse. So that's all for the most important navigation tools in Google SketchUp. Before we start building any initial shape for the auditorium, I want you to see what are we going to do actually, so you can see what the final project is gonna be. So this is the final form of the auditorium. You can also see how it looks inside. Of course, I'll give you all the instructions how to do it. This is how it looks inside. Here are the windows. This is the audience area with stairs on the right and left part of the auditorium. And here is the front part where the speaker sits, stands just behind a desk, and here we have also a board and a projection area. I can also show you how to toggle between different views of the model, which is very convenient in my opinion. So for example, you can go to View, Face Style, and change from shaded to wireframe. And this is a view where all the surfaces are represented only by lines, and actually this is how the model looks when imported to Audion. so you have a nice view how it should be. And then if this looks quite complicated and confusing, you can go back to Shaded and you can activate the back edges by going to Edge Style Back Edges, and then brings a quite informative view where you can see all the hidden geometry represented by light dashed lines, and I think this is quite convenient. So this is the model that we are going to make in this tutorial, and I hope you will have fun and enjoy it. So now we are ready to start making our first object that will be actually the bottom of the auditorium. So we will start making a rectangle. We take the rectangle tool, the shortcut is R in the keyboard, and we go so close to the origin until it's snapped and the color is turned yellow. So we click and we start pulling away to the desired direction. I can now click again whenever I want, wherever I want, and then I can have an arbitrary shaped rectangle. But if I want to be more specific, I can go back, Control C, and I can start again making a rectangle, and I pull away to the desired direction, but before clicking again, before finishing the rectangle, I can just release the mouse and type 12m.16m. You can see at the measurements bar the dimensions, and then pressing enter it gives, you can see precisely the rectangle that I have specified with my dimensions. So now I can make a box out of this rectangle by using the push-pull tool. The shortcut is the P key in the keyboard, and I just go on the rectangle and I click and pull away to the desired direction. Oops, one more time. Yeah, and then again, before clicking and finishing the box, I release the mouse and type 8m, 8 meter high, enter, so I have specified completely my box. Roughly now I can see that this is the basic shape of the auditorium, and this gray rectangle will be my ceiling, the ceiling of the auditorium. And since afterwards I need to have access to the interior, it's nice timing to set the ceiling as a separate layer so that I can remove occasionally. In order to do that, I go to the layers window and I add a second layer. So far everything we have designed belongs to layer 0, but now I add the layer and I give the name ceiling. And then I take the select tool, select the ceiling, and I right click and I go to the entity info window, where I can choose the layer that the ceiling belongs to. So I just select ceiling, and now when I have the layer 0 activated, I can make invisible the ceiling layer, so I can see the interior right now, and then I can select again. I cannot make invisible a layer that is active, so here you can see that now the ceiling layer is active, but I cannot make it invisible. I have an error message by Google SketchUp. I will place the stairs somewhere here, and I have to use some guides that will help me in drawing the stairs. The guides are simply just some lines that are not part of the actual geometry, but they help us in the drawing process. So I use the tape tool and I click here, and then I pull away, and you can see the parallel dashed line. We should be careful just to be towards the blue axis, and before clicking again I just finish the geometry by typing 5m, so this is 5 meters away from this edge, and then I need another one parallel to the vertical edge, 5.5 meters away. So roughly now I have defined the region where my stairs should be. I need to make also a platform here. So I take the line tool and I design a line 1.7 meters long. And now the stairs, they should begin here and just end at this point. I'm not sure how many stair treads I need in order to fit the stairs here, but I can set a requirement that the height of each tread should be 15 centimeters. So one way to do it is to draw a line vertical here, and then go on the line and right click, and then select divide. So now, as you can see, when I just roll the pointer on the line, I can see dividing points becoming more dense, or the opposite. You can see also the pop-up message saying what is the length of each segment when you just hold your pointer on this, and then we just move it until we find 0.15 meters, which is 20 segments. So I need 20 segments, 20 stair treads to be fitted here. And now I also draw another line from this point to the end of the stairs, and I do the same thing for this line. And now I take the number of segments, which should be 20, and I see that the length of each thread should be 0.44 centimeters. So now I have specified the length and the height of each thread. I can delete the line, this one, and then I can zoom in and start drawing the first thread. So this is 15 centimeters high. Oops, again on the blue axis, 50 centimeters high. .44 centimeters length. Okay, and now I just need to replicate this stair thread so many times as to fit the stairs to the final point, to the end point. So I just select by holding the control key and having the select tool. I select the two lines that form the thread, and now I can take the move tool. I can press control key so that a plus sign appears on the top of the move tool, and I click at this point, and you can see that I can move the thread right now, but not actually the real thread, but a copy of it, an idle of it. So I place the copy at the end point of the previous object, and now I type 19x, which means repeat the same process 19 times so that I can fill in the whole stairs. I press enter, and suddenly the whole stairs is finished. I don't need the guides anymore, so I can delete them. And it's time to make use of the layers that I have set. So since I need to have access to the interior, I make the ceiling invisible. And I need to copy the stairs that I made to the other side of the auditorium, so I will make use of the move tool with the control key again. Just to say that the move tool can be also accessed by typing M at the keyboard. Before that, I need to select this area just under the stairs, so that I can copy the whole area, actually not only the line that forms the stairs. So I select the move tool, control key, and go to the corner. I move a copy of the stairs, and then I place it to the other corner, because I need stairs at both sides of the auditorium. And I use now the push-pull tool to extrude this part of the stairs by 1.3 meters. So I type 1.3 m and enter, and then the other part by 2.2 meters. So now you can see the finished stairs at both sides. This is how it should look from outside. We do not need anymore the surface under the stairs at the outer wall. We are going to remove also this part, of course, in a later step. Again, I want to show you in which step we are. So we have designed the stairs of the auditorium, and now we are going to model the audience area. And in general, it's good to remember that it's better to model the audience area as a box-like shape, as I have done here, instead of modeling the people and the seats individually. The reason for that is that many small surfaces, as the people are, introduce prominent diffraction phenomena around them. On the other hand, Odeon is a geometrical acoustics based software, so therefore it cannot predict so accurately such complicated diffraction phenomena. And then the overall result is much worse than if you model with just a flat surface and assign an appropriate scattering coefficient. But that's all about acoustic simulations. In this tutorial, of course, we are focused on the modeling part. I will just start modeling the box here for the front part of the audience area, and this box will guide us to model the rest part. We draw a line from this endpoint to this endpoint. Then another line here, 1.5 meters length. and the meeting point of the perfect rectangular, we draw another line that is 8.5 meters. And then we close the rectangle. We can extrude the rectangle now by 1 meter high. And this is how it should look like looking at the bottom. The next step is to finish the platform here by connecting these 2 points. Finishing the shape. Here we need to make another smaller box, so we start by a rectangle of 60 centimeters width here. We extrude this part by 80 centimeters. And now in the auditorium you can see that here we have a rectangle that has a small offset in relation to the rest box. This is 0.8 meters. So we are going to make this rectangle. We'll draw a line here to 80 centimeters. Another line, 80 centimeters. And we close the rectangle. We can erase the unnecessary line here. It doesn't matter that this part was erased because anyhow we will cover it. And we can finish the geometry, the audience, by connecting these endpoints. This is how it looks like from the bottom. But we need to delete this part. It's good to have only the necessary surfaces for the acoustical modeling. Of course, the software doesn't have any problem, but we may get confused afterwards in a complicated model. We can also, of course, delete that part. Yeah. Now it's ready. We can finish now with everything inside the auditorium. We need to place a desk somewhere here. We need to place it 6 meters away from this side of the auditorium, so here somewhere, and then 90 centimeters in front of the front wall. So what we are going to do is to use the guide tool to make one guide at 6 meters away here, and then another guide 90 centimeters in front of the front wall. So this corner, this intersection will be the starting point for the desk you can see how the desk should look like. It's like a rectangle. This is the finished geometry. We will make the base of the desk. This is going to be a rectangle, 1.5 meters length, and then 80 centimeters width, and we pull upwards for 80 centimeters high, and the desk is ready. And at this point I will finish this episode, and I hope to see you again.